feeling that grind.
Yeah.
Like you're constantly fighting for focus. Your energy just tanks halfway through the day.
Yeah, and just wishing you had maybe a better handle on how you're feeling, both mind and body.
Exactly. Well, there's this method creating quite a buzz lately.
Yeah.
And it claims to tap into exactly that.
It is interesting, isn't it, this growing movement towards practices that look at well-being more holistically, recognizing how deeply our physical state affects our mental state and vice versa.
Totally. And today we're doing a deep dive into a really intriguing one, the Wim Hof Method.
Ah, yes.
You've probably heard the name Wim Hof, right? The Iceman. That guy from the Netherlands who does these incredible things in extreme cold.
Yeah, his feats they're pretty staggering. It makes you wonder, what's he doing?
Right. And could any of that actually apply to, us?
Yeah.
In our normal lives?
That's the core question, really.
And that's precisely what we're going to try and unpack for you today. Think of this as your, quick guide to the heart of the Wim Hof Method.
Yeah, the main principles, what the potential benefits are without you having to sift through, tons of information.
Our goal is just to pull out the most important insights, especially around how it might impact your mental well-being.
It's about giving you some practical knowledge, really, so you can figure out if it's something that might fit with your own health goals.
Okay, so the sources we looked at, articles explaining it, a scientific study, even info from a cold therapy site, they all point to three core parts. The pillars, they call them.
Middle pillars, right. Breathing techniques.
Cold exposure.
And then the mindset, the commitment aspect.
Yeah, and we're going to get into each of those. So looking at those three, how do they even connect? Maybe we should start with the breathing.
Well, it definitely suggests an integrated approach, doesn't it? Tackling the physical body breath, cold, but also hitting that mental piece. How our mind affects our body's response.
Okay.
Yeah, let's dive into the breathing first.
Right, so this isn't just, take a few deep breaths when you're stressed. It's a very specific technique.
It involves deliberately changing how you breathe. Basically, intentional hyperventilation followed by holding your breath.
Okay, hyperventilating. Sounds a bit intense. What's the idea there?
Well, the goal is to increase oxygen levels in your blood and body, and it also triggers what they call a positive stress response.
A positive stress response, like good stress.
Kind of, yeah. It's this idea called hormesis. Small, controlled stresses can actually make your body stronger, more resilient over time.
Okay, that makes sense. So the technique itself, it's like 30 deep breaths in, and then just relax the out breath.
Pretty much. Deep in, relaxed out about 30 times. Then after the last exhale, you hold your breath.
Hold it for how long?
Just until you feel that natural urge to breathe again. Don't force it too much. Then a big deep breath in, hold that for maybe 15 seconds.
And you repeat that whole cycle?
Usually 3 or 4 times, yeah.
Wow, so you're really kind of playing with your body's oxygen levels there.
Exactly. That oscillation, the up and down, that's likely where a lot of the physiological effects come from.
And they talk about how to breathe too, right? Using your diaphragm.
Oh, absolutely key. Really filling the lower lungs first. That belly, chest, head cue is helpful. Feel your stomach rise, then your chest.
Not just shallow chest breathing, which I guess a lot of us do when we're stressed out.
Very common, yeah. Diaphragmatic breathing is way more efficient, and it directly taps into your nervous system to promote calm.
Okay. And what about that thing, reverse breathing, where your belly goes in when you inhale?
Yeah, that can happen. A tip is to put your hand, or even like a light book, on your belly.
Oh, for feedback?
Exactly. To make sure you're actually expanding outwards when you breathe in helps retrain the pattern.
Gotcha. So beyond just the physical stuff, oxygen and all that, there are mental benefits too.
Definitely reported, yeah. People find it can be quite meditative. It seems to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system.
That's the rest and digest system, right? The opposite of fight or flight.
That's the one. So it can lead to feeling less stressed, more clear-headed, maybe more focused.
So the breathing itself can kind of quiet down that mental noise.
That's the idea. By changing your physical breathing pattern, you're actually influencing your nervous system and potentially your cognitive state, taming racing thoughts.
Which could help you get into that flow state people talk about for better focus and productivity.
Plausibly, yes. So pillar 1 is really using breath to consciously shift your physiology and hopefully your mental state too.
Okay, makes sense. So what about pillar 2? The cold exposure. Brr.
Right, the cold. This usually means things like finishing your shower with cold water or for the more dedicated ice baths.
Ice baths. Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the basic idea is exposing your body to cold on purpose.
Yeah, again, it's about introducing a controlled challenge, stimulating those natural adaptation processes in the body.
And what's that supposed to do?
Well, the claims range from boosting circulation to strengthening the immune system. With cold showers, for instance, that initial shock gives you a big adrenaline boost.
Like a morning coffee, but
Yeah.
colder.
Kind of. Sharper senses, more energy. That's the adrenaline kicking in.
Okay. And the circulation thing, how does that work?
When the cold hits, your blood vessels constrict. Then when you warm up, they dilate. It's like a workout for your vascular system.
A vascular workout.
Yeah,
Okay. And that's supposed to improve blood flow overall.
that's the theory. Better circulation means more oxygen and nutrients getting around, including to your brain, which could tie into feeling more alert, having more mental horsepower, as one source put it.
Mental horsepower, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, ice baths. That's a whole other level.
It is. The idea there is you can potentially build up your cold tolerance even more, maybe enhance immune function further, and it's a big test of mental resilience.
I bet. Just getting in must take some serious willpower.
Absolutely. You have to consciously manage that initial shock, that stress response. It builds focus and, well, mental toughness.
He also mentioned physical recovery, right?
Yeah.
And mood.
Yeah, potentially aiding recovery by flushing things out with the blood flow changes. And the cold triggers endorphin release.
The feel-good chemical.
Exactly. So you might get that sense of well-being, even euphoria afterwards.
Okay, but this sounds like something you need to be careful with. You don't just jump into an ice bath on day one, presumably.
No, definitely not. Gradual exposure is key. Start with colder showers, maybe just 30 seconds at the end. Listen to your body. Know your limits.
Safety first.
Always, especially with the cold. And if you have any health conditions, talk to your doctor beforehand. Very important.
Good point. Okay, so we have breathing, we have cold. What's the third pillar? Mindset and commitment.
Yeah, and this one sort of underpins the other two. It's about cultivating a positive outlook, building mental resilience, and really believing you can influence your body's responses through focus.
Like meditation is sometimes involved.
Can be, yeah. Focus, intention, and the commitment part is huge. The sources really stress consistency.
Right, you probably won't feel big changes in stress or energy if you just dabble now and then.
Exactly. Like any practice aiming for real change, you need to stick with it to build those new patterns, those adaptations.
And the mindset piece. It's not just about getting through the cold shower, right? It's about life stress, too.
That seems to be the goal. Training yourself to stay calm and focused during the practice, and then hopefully transferring that ability, that resilience, to everyday stressful situations.
You feel more in control, more capable.
A greater sense of self-efficacy, yeah.
Okay, so how do these three things, breath, cold, mindset, actually work together to affect mental health? It seems like it's all about the physiological changes, right?
That's the proposed mechanism, yes. A really clear example of that mind-body connection. Physical practices change your physiology, which then impacts your mental and emotional state.
So let's break down some of those reported mental health benefits. Energy seems like a big one.
Yeah, people report more sustained energy. The idea is the cold exposure, the adrenaline, the better circulation helps fight off that chronic fatigue feeling.
We saw that anecdote, right? Someone named Sarah felt a big energy boost.
Yeah, personal stories like that pop up. And while, individual results vary, the physiology behind adrenaline and circulation does support the potential for increased energy.
Okay. Then focus. How does that connect?
That links back mainly to the breathing. Stimulating that parasympathetic calm system, helping filter out distractions, leading to a quieter, more focused mind.
Which is something pretty much everyone could use more of these days.
Tell me about it. So the breathing could be a tool for cultivating that focus?
And mood. Feeling less down.
That seems to be linked to the combination. Breathing and cold together, triggering endorphins, those natural mood boosters.
Wasn't there a study about that
Mm-hmm.
from 2023? Something about brain chemistry.
Yes, one study looked at brain cannabinoid signaling and did find mood improvements correlated with the practice. So there's some biological basis being explored there.
Interesting. And stress reduction. Probably the biggest draw for many people.
Huge, yeah. The explanation is that the combo of breath and cold activates the rest and digest system and also helps lower cortisol levels.
Cortisol, the main stress hormone.
Exactly. That 2023 study apparently showed lower stress levels after just 2 weeks of training. And there was another anecdote, Emma, who felt it helped her manage burnout.
Wow. being able to consciously dial down your stress response, that's powerful.
Immensely important for long-term health. If the method reliably helps lower cortisol and promote calm, that's significant.
Okay, one more. Sleep. How does doing this stuff help you sleep better?
It's a bit counterintuitive, maybe. The deep breathing can initially activate the sympathetic system slightly.
The awake system.
Yeah, but then it's followed by this shift towards relaxation, slowing things down, making it easier to drift off. Plus, there's a theory it might help clear out metabolic waste from the brain during sleep.
Like brain cleaning.
Sort of, yeah. Related to the lymphatic system. If the breathing helps that process, sleep could feel more restorative.
Okay, so lots of potential benefits being reported. But what does the more rigorous science say? You mentioned a specific study from 2024.
Yes, and this is where things get really interesting and maybe a bit more nuanced. Proper studies are crucial, right, to see what holds up under scrutiny.
Definitely. So what did this one involve?
Okay, so they took 84 women who reported high levels of stress and depressive symptoms. They split them into 2 groups for 3 weeks.
One group did Wim Hof.
Yep, the breathing and the cold showers. The other group was an active control. They did slow-paced breathing and warm showers.
Ah, so they weren't doing nothing. Slow breathing is known to be calming, too.
Exactly. Makes the comparison stronger. They checked symptoms right after the 3 weeks, and then again 3 months later.
Demand the results.
Well, here's the kicker. Both groups showed significant improvement. About a 24% drop in depressive symptoms right after the intervention.
Both groups. Wow.
Yeah, and those improvements held up at the 3-month mark, too. Nearly half of the participants in both groups ended up with mild or no symptoms.
So slow breathing and warm showers work just as well as Wim Hof in terms of overall depression scores.
Largely, yes, for depressive symptoms, anxiety, and perceived stress levels, which kind of went against what the researchers initially expected.
Huh. Were there any differences then?
Yes, a couple of potentially important ones. The Wim Hof group reported less daily rumination after stressful events.
Rumination, like getting stuck thinking about negative stuff.
Exactly, that persistent dwelling. So the WHM seemed to have an edge specifically in reducing that compared to the slow breathing group.
Okay, that's interesting. Anything else?
Both groups showed lower cortisol reactivity in a lab stress test afterwards, which is good. But another odd finding was about belief.
Belief.
Yeah, the control group, the slow-breathing, warm shower group, actually rated their intervention as more credible at the start. They expected it to work better.
But both groups improved similarly anyway.
Pretty much, which raises questions about how much expectation influences outcomes, but also suggests the practices themselves were having real effects, regardless of that initial belief.
Fascinating. Was there anything else? Like, did people stick with it?
Ah, good point. There was a slightly higher dropout rate in the Wim Hof group. About 7% dropped out compared to 0 in the control group.
Maybe suggesting the Wim Hof method with the cold and the intense breathing might be harder for some people to stick with.
That's a plausible interpretation, yeah. It might be more demanding or less appealing for some.
So this study, it shows promise for breathing exercises in general, but maybe Wim Hof has a specific benefit for rumination. But it also raises questions.
Precisely. It suggests different breathing techniques can help, but the unique parts of WHM, the hyperventilation, the cold, their specific added value beyond something simpler like slow breathing needs more research, especially with bigger, more diverse groups.
Right. Okay, so bearing all that in mind, especially the study results, we absolutely need to talk about precautions before anyone gets too excited and jumps in an ice bath.
Crucial point. Yes, approach with awareness and caution.
The sources all say, while the stories are compelling and some science is emerging, we still need more research to really confirm everything and understand exactly how it works.
Standard scientific process. Build on initial findings, dig deeper.
And there are definite groups who should probably avoid it, or at least be extremely careful.
Yes. Generally not recommended for people with cardiovascular problems, serious respiratory issues like asthma, uncontrolled high or low blood pressure.
Pregnant women too, right?
Yes, and pregnancy. Basically, if you have any significant underlying health condition or you're on medication, talk to your doctor first. Period.
Non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Get personalized advice.
And practical safety tips, like don't do the breathing while driving.
Definitely not. Never practice the breathing techniques where fainting could be dangerous, so not driving, not in or near water. Always do it somewhere safe, like sitting or lying down.
And with the cold.
Start slow. Listen to your body. Don't push too hard, especially at the beginning. Gradual adaptation is the name of the game.
Okay, good advice. So let's try and wrap this up. We've gone through the 3 pillars,
Hmm.
the breathing,
The cold exposure.
and that crucial mindset and commitment piece.
And we looked at how they reportedly impact things like energy, focus, mood, stress, sleep.
Backed by some anecdotes and, importantly, some initial scientific findings, like that 2024 study.
Yeah, which showed benefits for both WHM and slow breathing, but maybe a specific edge for WHM regarding rumination, alongside the need for more research and caution.
So for you listening, if this deep dive sparked your interest, if it resonates with your goals for feeling better mentally or physically,
Maybe it's something worth exploring further, but gently.
yeah, start small, really pay attention to how your body responds, and seriously, check with a doctor if you have any doubts or health issues.
Think of this as information to empower you, not a prescription. It's a unique approach. Understand the basics, then you can make informed choices for yourself.
Right. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Could consciously engaging with discomfort, through the breath, through the cold, could that actually be a way to unlock more resilience, more control in other parts of your life too?
That's a great question to ponder. How do you react to stress or discomfort now? Could challenging yourself in this controlled way offer a new perspective?
Something to think about this week, maybe. Observe your own responses.
It definitely prompts a reflection on our relationship with challenge and our own capacity to adapt.
If you do want to learn more, maybe look into finding certified instructors or check out some reliable introductory resources online.
Good idea. Do your homework if you decide to try it.
Until our next deep dive, keep exploring what helps you feel your best.
Indeed. Take care and keep investigating your well-being.